The stars burned cold and distant through the cracked viewport of the defense bunker. Commander Sarah Chen pressed her palm against the reinforced glass, feeling the vibrations from the bombardment above. 3 days ago, this outpost had been home to 200 soldiers. Now, only 17 remained alive. The Krell invasion fleet had arrived without warning. Their ships dropped out of hyperspace like falling stars, and within hours, every major city on the colony world of New Terra burned. The human settlers never stood a chance. They were farmers, miners, and teachers, not soldiers. That came later after the distress signal reached Earth. Chen turned away from the window. Her reflection caught her eye for just a moment. She looked older than her 32 years. 3 days of constant fighting would do that. And her uniform was torn and stained. A bandage wrapped around her left arm covered a plasma burn, but her eyes were clear, determined. The tactical display flickered on the far wall, showing red markers surrounding their position. The Krell had them completely encircled. No escape, no reinforcements coming. Just time running out like sand through an hourglass. Private Marcus Webb sat against the wall, checking his rifle for the 100th time. He was young, barely 20. This was supposed to be his first deployment, an easy assignment to a peaceful colony. Get some experience, see the galaxy. Instead, he learned what hell looked like. The communication console beeped. Chen moved to it quickly. Static filled the speakers, then cleared. A voice came through, deep, resonant, alien. Humans, this is Commander Zarkoth of the Krell Dominion. Your resistance is meaningless. Your weapons are primitive. Your numbers are insignificant. I offer you one chance, one choice. Submit to Krell authority and serve as labor caste, or face extinction. You have one standard hour to decide. The channel closed. Silence filled the bunker. Chen could feel every eye on her. Sergeant Rodriguez stood from his position by the ammunition stores. His face was grim. Commander, we need to talk about this. We got maybe 6 hours of ammunition left. The med supplies ran out yesterday. Half our people can barely stand. If we surrender, at least some of us might live. Chen looked at him. Rodriguez was a good soldier, 20 years in service. He had a wife back on Earth, 2 kids. She understood what he was thinking. Survival at any cost. It made sense. It was logical. But something in her chest burned hot and angry. Labor caste, she said quietly. You know what that means. We saw what the Krell do to their slaves. The mining camps, the processing facilities, working until you drop dead, then they recycle your body for protein paste. Webb spoke up from his corner. Maybe someone escapes. Maybe they tell others. Maybe it means something. No one escapes the Krell, Rodriguez said. Their records show 100 worlds conquered, 1,000 species enslaved. They never lose. They never stop. Fighting them is just choosing how fast you die. Chen walked to the center of the room. Every soldier watched her. She saw fear in their faces, exhaustion, despair, but also something else. A tiny spark. The same thing that made humans climb mountains just because they were there. The same thing that pushed them to build ships and sail into unknown oceans. The same stubborn refusal to accept the inevitable. The Krell think they know us, she said. They studied our broadcasts, watched our history files. They see wars and violence, and they think we are just another aggressive species. Easy to predict, easy to control, but they missed something important. They do not understand what makes us human. She pointed at the tactical display. They gave us 2 options, submit or die. Those are the only choices they understand. Every species they conquered took one or the other. But humans? We are different. We are the species that looked at a mountain and said, I will climb that. We saw an ocean and said, I will cross it. We stared at the stars and said, I will reach them. Webb stood up, his rifle clutched in both hands. What are you saying, Commander? Chen smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a predator. I am saying there is always a third option, the one they never expect. She moved to the tactical console and pulled up a schematic. The bunker layout appeared, then expanded to show the surrounding terrain. The Krell positions glowed red all around them, but there was one spot, one small gap in their perfect siege. They think we are trapped, Chen said. They think we are beaten. They expect us to surrender or make a final stand. But they made a mistake. Right here. She pointed at the gap. They left their command carrier vulnerable. They think we do not have the range to hit it. They think we are too weak to try. Rodriguez stepped closer. Commander, even if we could hit it, what good would that do? How taking out one ship changes nothing. They still outnumber us 1,000 to 1. It changes everything, Chen said. Zarkoth is on that ship. Every Krell commander we captured told us the same thing. The Dominion runs on strict hierarchy. Kill the top commander and the whole chain breaks down. They spend days arguing over succession, fighting each other for authority. It gives us an opening. An opening to do what? Rodriguez asked. We still all die. Maybe, Chen said. But we die making them pay. We die showing them that humans do not submit. We die proving that conquering us costs more than they ever imagined. And maybe, just maybe, we die buying enough time for the real fleet to arrive. She looked around the room. The reinforcements are coming. Earth sent them 3 days ago, but they are still 12 hours out. If we can create chaos in the Krell fleet, if we can make them pause, if we can be enough of a thorn in their side, we give our people a chance. Private Webb slammed his fist against the wall. Hell yes. I did not come all the way out here to bow to some alien bastard. If I am going down, I am taking as many of them with me as possible. Others nodded, murmured agreement. The spark in their eyes grew brighter. Chen felt it too. That human thing, that refusal to accept defeat. It was not logical, it was not smart, but it was real. Rodriguez sighed. You are crazy, Commander, you know that? Probably, Chen said, but we are humans. Crazy is what we do best. She pulled up the weapons inventory. Not much left. A few rail guns, some explosive charges, half a dozen missiles. Against a fleet of hundreds of ships, it was nothing. Us but humans had built empires with less. Here is the plan, she said. We rig the fusion reactor to overload. We make it look like we are preparing for a desperate last stand. The Krell will think we are fortifying our position, but what we are really doing is building the biggest bomb we can manage. Then, Rodriguez asked, then we take our remaining vehicles. We load up every weapon we have left. We punch through their lines at the weakest point. We drive straight for that command carrier, and we shove a nuclear middle finger right down their throat. Silence again. But this time, it was different. Not the silence of despair, the silence of soldiers preparing for battle, the silence before the storm. How long do we have? Webb asked. Chen checked the chronometer. 58 minutes until Zarkoth expects our answer. We use every second of it. Rodriguez, get the engineering team on that reactor. I want it ready to blow on my signal. Webb, gather everyone who can still walk. We are going to need every gun we have. People moved. Orders were given. Equipment was gathered. The bunker transformed from a tomb into a hive of activity. Chen felt the energy change. Fear became determination. Despair became fury. The hour passed in a blur. Soldiers said their goodbyes to family in recorded messages. They checked their weapons one last time. They shared stories and jokes. They became brothers and sisters in a way that only happens when facing death together. When the communication console beeped again, they were ready. Chen opened the channel. Zarkoth's voice filled the bunker once more. "Your hour has expired. What is your decision, humans? Will you submit, or will you face extinction?" Chen looked at her soldiers. Every face showed the same thing: defiance, pride, that uniquely human stubbornness that made them special in a galaxy full of logical species. She keyed the microphone. Her voice came out clear and strong. "Commander Zarkoth, I appreciate the offer. Really, submit or die. Those are both valid options. But here is the thing about humans: we always find a third way. So let me give you our answer." She paused. Let the silence build. Then smiled. "We will take the third option." She closed the channel before Zarkoth could respond. Around her, soldiers grinned. It was not the grin of the hopeful. It was the grin of warriors about to do something gloriously stupid and utterly human. "Mount up," Chen ordered. "Let us go show these aliens what happens when you give a human only two choices." The armored transport roared out of the bunker entrance like a wounded animal. Behind it, 3 more vehicles followed in tight formation. The night air was thick with smoke and the smell of burning metal. Plasma fire lit the sky in brilliant streaks of blue and green. Chen gripped the railgun mounted on the transport roof. Wind whipped her hair back. Every bump in the terrain jolted through her bones. Through her tactical visor, she could see the Krell positions lighting up red. They were reacting, moving to intercept. But they were slow, confused. They had expected surrender. They had expected a last stand. They had not expected this. A plasma bolt screamed past her head. She ducked instinctively. Rodriguez was driving like a madman. Swerving between craters and debris, the transport bucked and jumped. In the back, soldiers held on for dear life. "Contact left!" Webb shouted. He was manning the other gun, his rifle forgotten in favor of the heavier weapon. Tracer rounds lit up the darkness. A Krell patrol craft exploded in a shower of sparks. "Keep moving!" Chen yelled. "Do not stop for anything!" The convoy pushed forward. Enemy fire intensified. The Krell were waking up, realizing what was happening. But it was too late to organize a proper response. The humans were already through their first defensive line. On the command carrier hovering 3 kilometers away, Commander Zarkoth watched the tactical display in disbelief. His scaled fingers tightened around the edge of the console. This was impossible. The humans were broken, defeated. But they should be begging for mercy, not charging his position like some primitive berserker horde. "Sub-Commander," he hissed, "deploy heavy weapons platforms, box them in. I want them stopped before they reach the tertiary perimeter." "Yes, Commander." The sub-commander's voice was uncertain. "But what are they trying to accomplish? This is suicide. Even if they break through, they cannot damage the carrier. Our shields will stop anything they throw at us." Zarkoth stared at the display. The human commander had said something about a third option. What did that mean? What were these creatures planning? Back on the ground, Chen saw the heavy platforms deploying ahead. Massive hovering weapon systems, each one capable of reducing their transports to scrap in seconds. There was no way through, no way around. They would all die here. Unless... Rodriguez, hard left, head for that ravine. "Commander, that ravine leads away from the target. Trust me, do it!" The transport veered sharply. The other vehicles followed. Plasma bolts carved through the space where they had been. The convoy plunged into a narrow canyon. Walls of rock rose on either side. Chen studied her tactical map. Yes. There. The geology scans from the initial colony survey. This ravine connected to an old lava tube network. It would take them underground. right under the Krell defensive positions. But first, they needed to clear the entrance, and the Krell had already figured out where they were going. Enemy forces were converging on the tunnel mouth. "Webb! Give me everything on that position! Clear us a path!" Webb unleashed hell. The heavy gun roared as explosive rounds tore into the Krell infantry rushing to block the tunnel. Alien bodies flew like rag dolls. Chen added her fire. So did the other vehicles. For 30 seconds, the world was nothing but sound and fury. Then they were through, into the darkness of the tunnel. Rodriguez hit the lights. The beams cut through the black like knives. The walls were rough, narrow. The convoy had to slow down, but they were out of direct fire, for the moment. "How long until we reach the other side?" Chen asked. "According to the map, 4 kilometers. Maybe 10 minutes if we do not hit any cave-ins. The Krell will be waiting for us on the other end," Webb said. "Good," Chen said. "Let them wait. Let them think they know what we're doing. Let them get comfortable." She checked her equipment and the special package they had loaded into the lead transport. It looked like nothing much. A metal cylinder, 2 meters long, 30 centimeters wide, but inside was everything they had left. Every explosive, every fuel cell, every power core, and at the heart of it, the overloaded fusion reactor from the bunker, timed to detonate on impact. The Krell shields would stop conventional weapons, but this was not conventional. This was a star in a bottle, and they were going to shove it right down the alien commander's throat. Above ground, Zarkoth paced his command deck. The humans had gone underground. His forces were repositioning. He had enough firepower at the tunnel exit to vaporize anything that emerged. The situation was under control, and yet something bothered him. That human commander's voice, the confidence, the certainty. Like she knew something he did not. "Scan those tunnels," he ordered. "I want to know exactly what they are carrying." "Scans show standard military vehicles, Commander. Small arms, some explosives, nothing that poses a threat to the carrier." "Then why are they charging our position? What is the purpose of this attack?" The sub-commander hesitated. "Perhaps they seek an honorable death? Many warrior species prefer battle to surrender." "No." Zarkoth's eyes narrowed. "These humans are cunning. Every encounter report says the same. They adapt. They improvise. They find ways to win when they should lose. This is not a death charge. This is something else." He studied the tactical display, the carrier position, the tunnel exit, the human trajectory. And then he saw it. If the humans emerged at full speed, and if they maintained their current heading, they would be on a direct collision course with the carrier. But that was impossible. The shields would stop them. Even if they crashed into the hull at maximum velocity, they would just bounce off. Unless... "Scan again," he said urgently. "Focus on energy signatures. Look for anything unusual." The technician worked quickly. Then his scales went pale. "Commander, I am detecting a massive energy buildup in the lead vehicle. It is contained but unstable. If it releases, the yield would be..." He stopped, calculated. "Equivalent to a tactical nuclear device." Zarkoth felt something he had not experienced in years. Fear. The humans were not trying to fight their way out. They were not seeking an honorable death. They were building a bomb, and they were planning to ram it straight into his ship. Full power to shields! Bring us to maximum altitude! Deploy all interceptor craft!" The command carrier began to rise, but it was massive, slow, built for orbital bombardment, not evasive maneuvers. In the tunnel, Chen felt the transport shake as Rodriguez pushed the engine to its limit. The exit was close. She could see light ahead. Artificial light. The Krell were waiting with everything they had. "Everyone hold on!" she shouted. "This is going to get rough!" The transport burst from the tunnel like a bullet from a gun. Plasma fire filled the air. It was a wall of death. No way through, no way around. But Chen was not trying to go through it. She was trying to go over it. The tunnel exit was on a cliff edge. The terrain dropped away sharply. Rodriguez did not slow down. He accelerated. The transport launched into space. And for a heartbeat, they were flying, gravity forgotten. Then they were falling, plummeting toward the valley floor. But that was okay, because now they had a clear line to the command carrier, and the carrier was rising, trying to escape, but not fast enough. "Webb, detach the package! Now!" Webb hit the release. The metal cylinder separated from the transport. Chen watched it arc through the air. A perfect trajectory. Physics doing its beautiful, inevitable work. The cylinder tumbled, spun, headed straight for the massive alien ship rising above them. Rodriguez fought the controls. The transport hit the ground hard. Metal screamed. The vehicle rolled. Once, twice, 3 times. Chen lost her grip. The world became a blur of pain and noise. Then everything stopped. She was lying on her back, staring up at the sky. Every part of her body hurt. But she was alive, somehow still alive. Around her, soldiers groaned, moved, started checking themselves for injuries. "Did it work?" Webb asked. His voice was weak. He had blood on his face. Chen looked up. The command carrier was trying to activate its emergency jump drives. Blue light gathered around its hull. It was going to escape. They had failed. After everything, after all of it, they had still failed. Then the cylinder hit. The shields tried to stop it. Brilliant energy flared. But the cylinder was already destabilizing, already coming apart. And when it detonated, it was not an explosion. It was the birth of a new sun. White light consumed everything. The shields held for a fraction of a second. Then they collapsed. And the ship, that massive technological marvel, simply ceased to exist. The shockwave hit a moment later. Chen felt herself lifted, thrown. She was flying again, but this time it was different. This time it felt like victory. When she woke up, the world was quiet. She opened her eyes. The sky was clear. Dawn was breaking. Pink and gold light painted the horizon. It was beautiful. She had forgotten how beautiful mornings could be. Rodriguez was sitting nearby. He had a broken arm, but he was smiling. Actually smiling. "Commander, you need to see this." He helped her sit up, pointed at the sky. She saw them. Ships. Dozens of them. Dropping out of hyperspace. Human ships. The reinforcements had arrived, and the Krell fleet, leaderless and confused, was already starting to break apart. Some ships were fleeing. Others were fighting each other for command authority. It was exactly as she had predicted. "We did it," she whispered. "We actually did it." Webb appeared, limping but alive. He had tears in his eyes, happy tears. "Never doubted it for a second, Commander. Well, maybe a few seconds, but mostly not at all." Chen laughed. It hurt. Everything hurt. But she laughed anyway. Because they were alive. Against all odds. Against all logic. They had survived. More than survived. They had won. 6 months later, Commander Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of the UES Indomitable, flagship of the Terran Defense Fleet. Through the massive viewport, she could see New Terra below. The cities were being rebuilt, farms restored, life returning to the scarred world. But it would never be the same. How could it be? 200,000 colonists had died in the invasion. The survivors would carry those scars forever. But they would carry something else, too. Pride. The knowledge that when extinction came calling, they had refused it. They had fought back. They had won. The door behind her opened. Admiral Jackson entered. He was a broad man with gray hair and medals covering his chest. He had commanded the relief fleet, arrived just in time to mop up the chaos Chen and her soldiers had created. Commander Chen, thank you for coming. Admiral. She turned and saluted. The motion was automatic now. 6 months of recovery, physical therapy, debriefing sessions. She was whole again. Mostly. The nightmares still came sometimes. At ease, Jackson moved to stand beside her. Together they looked down at the planet. Beautiful world. Worth fighting for. Yes, sir. I wanted to speak with you before the ceremony. What you did down there, what your people did. It changed everything. You know that? Chen said nothing. She had heard this before. From politicians, journalists, fellow soldiers, everyone wanted to tell her she was a hero. But she did not feel like one. She just felt tired. The Krell fleet scattered, Jackson continued. Most of their ships fled back to Dominion space, but we captured 3 of them, intact. The intelligence we recovered is invaluable. Fleet movements, supply lines, weaknesses in their technology. For the first time since contact, we actually understand our enemy. He paused. More importantly, we captured crew members, living prisoners. They talk. Eventually. And what they say is fascinating. What do they say? Chen asked. They are terrified. Of us. Of humans. The story of what happened here has spread through the Dominion like wildfire. 17 humans. Against an entire invasion fleet. And they won. It should be impossible. But it happened. And now every Krell commander has to consider that possibility when they look at human worlds. Chen turned to face him. We got lucky, Admiral. If the relief fleet had been even an hour later, we would all be dead. That bomb was a desperation move. It should never have worked. But it did work. And that is what matters. The Krell spent